Hello, welcome to ESP.NET Web Server Software Programming. Now, previously I had shown you connection on MS Access and SQL Server directly using the components. So it is also a better way of getting results done in a very quick time. But sometimes it does happen that we require some coding to be done. So in order to overcome the coding problem, so I am teaching you the basics of ADO.NET commands. So today I am going to display the table structure from this MS Access database. So the database I am using is, you can just check in. So go to View, Solution Explorer, and you can see a mydatabase.mdb. Now this mydatabase.mdb, when you double click this, now this cannot be open because it is used. Now since this is in use, it can't be open. But this database contains a table called billing. Now we want to check the structure of that table called billing. So in order to do it, so I have defined the coding in this button. So this is a button. So when I double click this, so this is open. Now the coding has already been done, so I'll be explaining you each of the commands step by step. Now as you see here, now these are all errors on this particular this. Now these are commands for connection, for getting the table listing and so on. So this I'll go step by step. Now since these are the namespace, now it is displaying namespace OLEDB connection could not be found. Now this is because we have forgotten to give the header. So the header for this is using system.data.oledb. Now this is used if you want to connect the data access database. So once you have defined this, and then if you say build solution, now this will be overcome. See, now those errors have gone. So that means whenever you want to do the connection on MS database access, you have to always define using system.data.oledb. And after that, now we have to define the connection string. Now connection string means we have to instruct the computer what type of software it is. That is, it is an MS Access software. So for that we write provider is equal to Microsoft.jet OLEDB 4.0. So this is used whenever you want to connect to a MS Access database. Now this Access database is stored on D drive under this folder name, and this is the name of the database. Now it doesn't have any security, so we write persist security is info is equal to false. So this is necessary. So these are the key instruction which you have to define in a connection string. But now since this is a remark, but this statement is very important. Now this is the final statement. Now what is the difference between this statement and this statement? So here we are physically entering D colon and the name of the solution. Okay, so now some other person may have some other drive, so this should be flexible, so it should automatically take the path. So for that, now the same thing, provider is equal to Microsoft.jet OLEDB 4.0. now this is for connecting to the MS Access database. Now this database is existing on server.map path. Now it will take the path of the solution, and from there it will take this database, and the rest is the same. Persist security info is equal to false. And then we have the connection. Now since we have defined the connection string, now we want to connect to this database, so we say OLEDB connection. So this is the reserved word for connecting to the database, followed by the instance of that name. Now this is the user defined name equal to new OLEDB connection string. So this connection string will be linked to this connection. So a new instance called con is created, and once again I repeat, this is the user defined name. Similarly, after defining the connection, you have to define OLEDB command. Now what does OLEDB command do? So OLEDB commands connects the table to the database, In this sense, now as I told you, I want to get the records from this billing, that is the structure from this table called billing. So that's the reason why I write select star from billing, and this has to be connected to this data source. So that's the reason why I'm giving con here. So in short, a command, that is OLEDB commands, contains two parameters. One is the SQL and the other is the con. So you can modify this also by directly defining a variable called SQL, that is string SQL, select star from billing, and then writing your SQL. So this is a better way of doing it. So always follow this process, SQL. So OLEDB commands contain SQL, that is from the billing table, and now con means it will connect to this database. So once this is done, now the connection is done. Now we have to set a data reader. Now what do you mean by data reader? So whatever execution takes place, the result has to be stored somewhere. So for that I give OLEDB data reader RD, and then I open the connection. Now this connection is open, and then I am executing this command, that is this plus this into RD. So if you want to read this data reader, so we say cmd dot execute reader, and the result will be stored in RD. Now it contains all the results in RD, but I want to display it in an HTML format. So for displaying it in an HTML format, that is in an HTML table form, I write response.write. Now this is HTML tag for a table, that is table border 1. So this will display a table, and in that table, now I want to display all the fields existing in this table called billing. So I set a for loop. Now loop means to repeat. So first I am declaring, always a for statement contains three parameters. One is the initialization, one is the condition, and the third is the increment. So integer I is equal to 0, that is variable I is of data type integer, whose value is 0, because always the count starts with 0, that is the field count always starts with 0. And then I say I less than equal to rd dot field count. Rd dot field count means how many fields does the billing contains. This will automatically taken from that thing, from the table. Now minus 1 why I am giving, because I have used equal to sign here, less than equal to sign. For example, now since it starts with 0, so it will, suppose if you have 5, so since it is starting with 0, it has to be 4. So I say 5 minus 1, that is 4, and then it will increment by 1. So 0 becomes 1, 2, 3, that way, right? And then I want to print the results here. So response.write tr. Now you may ask me what is tr. So always a table contains rows and columns. So tr indicates row. Then since we want a column, I say td. td stands for table description, that is for defining a column. Now inside that column I want to print rd.getName I dot to string. Now get name I means 0. The value of starting value of I is what? 0. So it will display the name of the field. What it will display? Here it will display name of field. And then we are closing the column, because in first column we will get this. Now in the second column I want to get the field type, that is field type whether it is integer, a text or a date. So for that I say rd.get field type I means 0, the first field. Now this will give you what? Field type in this column. So the first column contains the name of the field, second column contains the name of the that is the data type. And then I am closing the column, and I am then closing the row. So this becomes a complete row, and then again it will come here. So now this loop will be repeated according to the number of fields. So in short, it will display all the field names along with the data type, and then at the end I close the table. And now to execute and check the result, I just execute this, then I run without debugging, then I say okay. So when I click on this button, see, this is the table you get. Now as I told you, table, now this is a row tr, now this is td, this is td. So this is the field name, this is the data type, then the row is closed, and again the row is open, the second field, third, fourth, fifth. So I hope that you have understood the tutorial. This is all for the time being. Thanks.